Hello and welcome. If you're someone who has been contemplating working with a financial advisor, or you're actively seeking a financial advisor and you just want to get a little bit of a better understanding of what that process actually looks like, this is a fantastic video for you because today I am going to be walking through the process of Campbell Wealth Management and how we talk with our clients, how we move assets, all the way to how we implement a financial plan. My name is Justin Campbell. I am a certified financial planner professional and the owner of Campbell Wealth Management here in Salem, Oregon. So without further ado, let's get started. Where all this is going to begin is that you got to reach out to us and get an appointment scheduled. So you can give our office a call. Our number is both on our website and on our social medias, so you can go ahead and check. It'll also be at the end of this video. But you can call in, you can email, you can even text our office phone number, reach out to Emily, who will happily get you scheduled or will at least do some screening to see if we are a good fit to get together. And so we're going to get you scheduled. You're going to come into the office, or we can do this over a Zoom meeting if you are not local. So first and foremost, one of the most important meetings that we are ever going to have is the discovery meeting. And this is where we're of course going to learn about your wealth, but we're going to learn about you and what success looks like for you. So we're going to start with your current situation, your family dynamics, your health, your worldview, how you actually see money and what its value is. And then we're going to move to your goals and priorities. This is things like your retirement timeline, the lifestyle that you're currently living and want to live moving forward, major purchases down the line, or a legacy that you'd like to leave behind. Success is not a textbook definition, and so we need to know what that actually looks like for you, so when we're building a plan, we can incorporate what is most important into that plan. Next, we're going to go to your concerns. So what is keeping you up at night? Is it market swings? Is it taxes? Is it your in-laws? Whatever it might be, we want to know those main pain points so we can focus on alleviating them through our planning process and our recommendations. And then lastly, after we've had all of this conversation, we've answered any questions you have, we then need to decide if we're going to move forward or not. Now, this needs to be a mutual decision. We have to think that we can help you and that we get along. We want our clientele to be cultivated with people that value what we value, that we enjoy speaking to. And on your side, you need to trust that we are here to help you and that we can help you, and then it's worthwhile to you. And if those things line up, then we will move on to the next step, which is transferring and consolidating your assets over to Campbell Wealth Management. Emily is our operations manager and is fantastic at running this. She'll be leading the processing portion and will be the main processor of all of your finances. We want to have a single team that's going to guide you through all of the investment choices, the planning, etc. So as much as we can simplify that and bring that under our management, that is what we're going to do. And then we're going to do the new account setup. So we got to make like accounts for everything that you currently have. Emily's going to make sure that your beneficiary designations are updated. This is a big one. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. It's a good opportunity, though, to make sure that if something were to happen to you, that the money is going to go where you want it to. Next is the documentation. Luckily, most of what we can do as far as account setup and transfer paperwork can be done via e-signature at this point, but if you are someone that does not like technology or aren't technologically savvy and you would like things to be done in paper form, we can absolutely do it that way. Just understand that there's going to be a big pile of papers that you're going to have to deal with. And there are certain situations too, certain annuities, a lot of times life insurance, anything around that world that requires wet signatures. And so if that's the case, then we'll also do what we need to do to make sure we get you in or send the documents out to you so you can wet sign them. Then the asset transfer process, Emily is going to coordinate directly with LPL Financial, who is our broker dealer, which just means that we pay them a portion of our fees to do all of our back office compliance, to custody our assets, to provide us with technology, and to help us in all sorts of different ways. This allows for just a three-man team to be able to manage millions of dollars successfully. And then we'll also be working with your prior custodian. So wherever your money is currently at, we'll be making sure that the assets will be able to move over smoothly and track everything and make sure that process is as clean as possible. Emily is really good at that. She'll be following up with you and with those different companies to make sure that everything gets to where it needs to go. And then lastly, there'll be questions along the way. So as we're going through this transfer process, if you have anything, feel free to reach out to us via text, email, or call. And if Emily can, she'll absolutely help you. If it's beyond her capacity and you need to talk with an advisor, she will pass you off to us and we will happily help as well. All right, so how do we actually build a financial plan? There's kind of three main components, and then the fourth, which is actually the implementation portion. But we're going to organize everything. So we got to get all your information. We have your assets here. And that'll allow us to build out a balance sheet, understand your net worth, look at your ownership structures, etc. Then we're going to identify gaps, see if there's any major risks that we notice. And then we're going to make recommendations for you. For some, there may be a ton. For others, it may be fairly small. It just kind of depends on your situation and what we end up finding. So, what do we actually capture and why? We need to know as much as we honestly can about your wealth from a holistic perspective. So, we want to know your liquid assets, your retirement accounts, real estate, business interests, insurance, and liabilities. And what we do with all that information is it allows us to get everything in an organized form so we can zoom back and we can look at everything and see where are the gaps based on what you're trying to accomplish, your cash flow, etc. All right, but how do we actually read the financial pictures? So we're going to be looking at who owns what. So what does the titling look like? Do you have individual or joint ownerships? Is there trusts involved, etc.? Are there any issues or risks with any of the current titling you have? And are there recommendations that can solve any of those? Then what do you got? What does the asset mix look like? Are you liquid? Are you illiquid? Are most things tax deferred or taxable? Is the portfolio balanced or concentrated? And then what's owed? So that's just your debt structure. Do you have a lot of loans or mortgages or student debt or whatever it may be? And how does it look? What is the term and maturity and structure of the debt? And is it going to cause any issues down the road? Then we get to the insurance side of things. Do you have enough either assets to self-insure, or do you have enough life insurance coverage or long-term care, etc., to make sure that if something were to happen to you or one of your family members, that it wouldn't blow up your whole plan? You'd still be able to function and live the life that you want to live. Next is what is actually flowing in and out. You may hear the idea of cash is king, but really cash flow is king. If you have a positive cash flow and that is a sustainable cash flow, then you're going to be in good shape. If that is not the case, and your cash flow is either negative or maybe in the future, that totally changes how we're going to do the planning process of how we need to make choices in your finances to make sure that you do live a successful life. And then lastly is the estate structure, which is what is going to transfer when you're gone. And that's from titling to beneficiary designations to powers of attorneys and other legal documents to make sure that if something were to happen to you via, passing away or just your own capacity to be able to function, can your family and your loved ones continue to make decisions for you and for your family to make sure things move smoothly? So what are we actually looking for? We're looking for concentration risks. If you are someone that is really heavily into one sector, you could be maybe a closely held business owner and 85% of your net worth is just in your business. And so we're going to see what kind of risks are involved if something were to happen to that concentrated risk. If all of a sudden you owned a lot of Bitcoin and it went up a lot and now it drops 50%, is that going to blow everything up? Or how can we make choices that's going to diversify things out and protect you across more dimensions? Because we don't know what's going to happen in the world. There's lots of craziness going on. Next is your tax exposures, is how tax efficient are your assets? We're going to examine RMD risks, embedded gains, and whether Roth conversions or tax harvesting or charitable strategies can reduce your lifetime tax bill. Then we have the estate entitling issues. Once again, we talked about that, but we want to flag any outdated beneficiary designations, see if there's any missing documents or something important that really needs to be added to your estate plan, or just get one set up in the first place for a lot of people. And then we're going to look at, like I said, the life insurance. Are both spouses adequately covered? Can we self-insure? Do we have enough assets set aside that if you're going to have a long-term care need that we can just draw from those to be able to take care of it? Or should we try and get some sort of policy that's going to do that for us? We have debt efficiency, which is just understanding your rates, the terms, and whether a payoff or refinancing ever makes any sense. Refinancing probably doesn't make sense in this given rate environment, but that will always fluctuate and change. And so we just want to make sure that that is being done as efficiently as possible. And then lastly is liquidity and cash flow. There's a lot of people that have a very high net worth, but not a lot of liquidity. And so if that is going to be changing as you get into a retirement scenario or just as you're going through life and whatever your needs are going to be, you want to make sure that you have plenty of liquidity or access to your cash and whatever choices we need to make to try and free that up for you. Or if it's not a big deal and we're good to go, then that's fine. All right, next we're going to talk about how we actually present the findings. So we use a financial planning software called Wealth Vision. It's actually integrated with LPL, which is great. But this is going to give us the ability to pull up your financial lives over time and really all the way through the end of your life. So we're going to make a handful of assumptions on when you're going to pass away, what inflation rates we want to look at, what investment rate of return we want to look at, and then what your current plan is. And then we'll project that over time, and you'll be able to see from this graph here on the left, how does your life change? And is it going to be successful if all things actually stayed the same? Then what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll add expenses or different growth rates or gifts to charity or whatever it may be based on whatever goals and conversations that we have had. And we'll try and stress test it. The same thing, we'll do what are called what if analysis, which is going to show if someone were to pass away suddenly, or if there was a long-term care need, how is that going to impact your plan? And then what changes would we need to make to still make you successful? And then next is this Monte Carlo simulation. This is just kind of a general health check. This gives us an idea of your success given the current plan. And then we can also do the same thing and run it after we've made some of these changes. And basically what this shows us is if you're over about an 80%, that means that there's a pretty high likelihood that you're going to have excess left over when you pass away. And really when we're over that 80%, there's going to be more conversation around, okay, do you want to spend more of your money? Are there things that you want to do in your life that we can actually, use to live a better life? Maybe that's having a personal trainer or getting food delivered to you or getting a really nice bed or going and traveling more, whatever those things might be that make sense. We'll get to talk about those. If you are under an 80%, then that doesn't mean that, everything is going to fall apart and it's very likely that you're going to lose all your money by the time you pass away. It just means that there may be more variability in the choices that you're going to need to make over time, meaning that if the market underperforms, maybe we're going to have to reduce expenses for a couple of years, or maybe there's going to be a need in a worst case scenario to do a reverse mortgage or, whatever it may be, or to downsize your home. So it just means that you have to understand there may be more variability in what you need to do if we get situations in the world that are less optimal, bad returns, economy goes into a recession, etc. So it doesn't mean everything is going to fall apart. It just means we got to be a little bit more flexible in how we make decisions down the road. So how we build your action plan, we're going to typically do it on what's the most important, but also needs to be done the soonest. So this might be something like investment allocations. That's something we're typically going to recommend for you. Most of the time, we're going to end up moving things into different investments, but sometimes maybe what you have is what you really like. It actually makes sense as far as a risk profile for you. It's performed really well, and maybe we'll leave your investments the same. But we'll have that conversation. We might look at protection planning, tax optimization, debt and cash flow, and estate and legacy coordination. It just depends on you, your plan, your needs, and what we find. So once we give you that, then we'll have a conversation about the actual implementation of this. We're going to do what we can on our side, you're going to do what you can on your side, and then there'll probably be a piece of it that'll be needed for the actual estate planning attorney and a CPA or accountant, whoever you use. And we'll all then coordinate together to make sure that everything gets tied up nicely and all the bolts are tightened. And then we'll also throw out what our recommendations were, what we're looking at as far as the tax side of things and the estate side. And then we'll talk with the actual other professionals that specialize in those things and make sure that what we're looking at is going to hold water, if there's any things that we should change based on information maybe we didn't know. But it allows us to all work as a team to make sure that you are set up the way that you need to be. So just to recap, what to expect when you come to work with us. First, we're going to do the discovery and goal setting. We're going to find out who you are, what you're looking for, and if we can help. Then once we've decided if we're going to work together, then we move to the asset transfer and the data gathering. This is where we're going to make sure that all of the assets that we can manage get under our roof so that you have one team that's going to take care of you and that you're not having to go to all these different financial advisors and custodians and trying to figure out where everything is and what you need to do. This also is really helpful on the estate planning side of things for the people that are going to have to deal with your estate. The less amount of places your stuff is, the easier it's going to be for them to deal with. And then we're going to get into the analysis phase and the plan presentation, where we'll get you back in here. We'll look at your life and how your plan is currently looking. And then we'll decide if there's any changes that need to be made, give our recommendations, and then move into the implementation and coordination, the stuff we got to do, the stuff you got to do, and the stuff that the other professionals need to do. And once that's in place, then it's just going to be monitoring, checking in with you every once in a while, doing at least a yearly review, and make sure that as time and life changes and needs change, that we are adapting to whatever it is that we need to do, because that's life. There's always going to be change that's going to happen. There will always be things that will need to pivot and move, because the only thing that we know is that things will change. So hopefully this was helpful for you. This gives you a bit of an idea of what it feels like to, and what the process is to come into working with a financial planner and working with our firm specifically. So if this is something that is interesting to you and you think we can help you, please reach out to Emily. You can call our office at 503-364-9359. You can also text that same number, or you can email Emily, which her email is emily@campbellwealthmgmt.com. You can also check out our website as well, take a look around, see what our clients have to say about working with us and what that process feels like, learn a little bit more about our backgrounds, where we come from. And we'd love to see you here, and hopefully we can help you. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope it helps. Talk to you soon.